Welcome to the North Carolina Field Ministers Podcast, Changing Life, Changing Culture. This podcast offers a forum for field ministers in North Carolina to discuss their lives, their ministry, their impact on incarcerated neighbors, their viewpoints on issues that affect the currently and formerly incarcerated, and their perspectives on a variety of topics. Please note, the podcast does not officially represent the North Carolina Field Minister Program.
Hello, everyone. My name is Rash, and I'm thankful for the opportunity to get to spend a little time with you, share a little bit about myself, I guess how I got to this moment in life. To begin with, I'm 37. I've been incarcerated for the last 13 years, and my release date is 2055. Growing up, I never thought that I would be in this situation, but I don't suppose many of us do. I would like to take a moment and just share a little bit about myself, share a little bit about my upbringing and how I got to this moment in life. I grew up in North Carolina, a small town called Shelby. I lived with both of my parents, Donna and Marty, and for most of my life, I thought that I had a normal upbringing. Sadly, after having done well over a decade in prison, I realized that what I had wasn't normal. It was a loving, nurturing environment, and I've come to kind of conclude that that's not normal these days, which is sad to say, but it's the reality that I found most people to face with. But I grew up in a good home. I was supported. I was encouraged. I had a younger brother, and my parents really did everything that they could do to just teach us to have good manners, to be kind, to be hardworking, and live with integrity. Everything that, values that I hope most of us consider to be good things. I was a smart kid. I liked to do my schoolwork. I liked to play sports and, I guess have a routine childhood. When I got into high school, I started to hang out with people that, that my parents always say, don't hang out with this crowd because you know what's going to come from it. And as a lot of kids do, I didn't really take that advice too seriously. And I hung out with some guys that I knew probably weren't great influences, and it ended up leading to me getting into some trouble early on. Just begin the process of addiction, just experimenting a little bit, which I know a lot of people probably do, but when those habits never get broken, it goes from just some innocent childhood dabbling to some major lifetime problems. But that's something that kind of became a theme throughout most of my young life, was addiction, and then just the seemingly endless ways in which that impacted me, for one, but not just me, my family, the people around me, the people that were looking at me and expecting more, and just constantly being let down because of bad decisions. And but still, at this young age, the addiction was more so just something to do with friends as a way of gaining acceptance. It wasn't until I got a little bit older, when I was in my late teens, maybe almost 20 years old, when following a surgery to have my wisdom teeth removed, that I really kind of got hooked on opiates, and it was pretty much downhill after that time frame. That kind of became a drug that would influence my life in a major way, and that lifestyle, just the lifestyle of seeking the drug, making that a priority over everything else. Even when I knew what to do right, but for any of us that have struggled with addiction, that know people that are struggling with addiction, then you'll understand a little bit of what I say when I say in some ways I couldn't stop even though I wanted to. I wish that I had never done any of the drug experiences that I have, knowing now what they cost, because it ended up costing multiple families more than anyone should ever have to pay for something like that. Two people lost their life because of this lifestyle that I live, because of just the reckless choices, my family, it would cost so much. They were impacted so severely through this and still are being impacted. So many families are still being impacted to this day for decisions that I made over 15 years ago. But that led to my incarceration. Just drug-fueled decisions ended up with me costing so many families so much and ending up with a prison sentence in excess of 40-plus years. And so it's 2024 today. I was incarcerated in July of 2011. And, a lot has transpired over these past few years. When I come to prison, I was an addict. I was struggling within the bounds of addiction. And it didn't change. I come to prison, I didn't think anything about the incarcerated context except for what I picked up in movies, which are not always the best advice for lifestyle choices. But I come into this environment, and I lived roughly the same way I had been living. I self-medicated to try to help cope with just the reality that I was facing, not just my sentence, but just people had lost their life because of me. I've never been a fighter. I've never been one that likes to be the aggressor in situations, and then so to just have to live in the reality that people lost their life because of me. That was something that was really, really impossibly difficult for me to deal with for years. And I did time. 2-3 years went by. About 4 years in, I went to another camp, and while I was serving time at this medium custody camp, I built a relationship with a friend of mine, Daniel Brook. He was a younger guy, but he was a positive encouragement to me in so many ways. He knew the lifestyle I was living. He knew that I was still not making the best decisions. He didn't judge me for it. He just maintained our friendship and continued to just influence me every day. He was reading his Bible every day. I could see him spending time in prayer. I could see how he just displayed genuine care and concern for people that he didn't even know. And after a time, his relationship with me, it really impacted me. It challenged me to open my eyes. All my childhood, my teenage years, making mistakes that cost others, impacted others negatively, impacted my community, impacted strangers negatively. Now I'm in prison, and I'm still making the same decisions, and I just had a wake-up moment, and I was like, what am I doing? And I knew that something had to change, and that was really the first moment, the first time that I asked God. I said, Lord, I need some help. I can't do it on my own, and I believe that you're real, and I believe that you're willing. So just please help me. And that was a pivotal moment in my life. It was really when I made a concerted effort to get into the Bible, to sincerely pray, asking for help, asking to be changed. That I could look in the mirror and not like the man that was looking back at me. So I just asked God to change me, and one day at a time, I would read the Word. I would try to do what it says. I would examine my life, find where I was lacking, and just ask God to help. And then one day at a time, week by week, month by month, I noticed little changes starting to take place. Fast forward, almost 10 years later, I'm so thankful for the new heart and the new person that God has made me to be. He has changed me in a lot of ways. He's just given me a heart that seeks first to care for others. But around the same time, I heard about the field ministry program. I was at Avery Mitchell, and my chaplain there gave me the news that there was this new program they were starting. it offered a college degree, and that interested me. It was something I had been seeking to attain during the process of my incarceration, but I wasn't allowed to because I had too much time. So I decided to check it out, and when I heard exactly what it was about, what it would require of me, the things that it would cost, I was interested, but I also knew that it was going to require some sacrifice on my part and on my family's part. At the time, I'm in Avery Mitchell, and my family's in Shelby. This would require me to move to Nash up in Raleigh, and that's a big aspect of my family. When it comes to them, just they want to visit with me. I want to visit with them, and that's a 5-hour trip versus almost an hour and a half trip. But we prayed about it. I prayed, and my family prayed, and eventually I really felt that God was putting on my heart that this was a step He wanted me to take, and so I signed up for it, and I was accepted. And long story short, my experience at Nash, going through the education that I received, the relationships that I built, not only with my classmates, with the men there, with my teachers, just the whole experience. I feel like God used that to just further equip me, to further teach me, to further just build me up, and prepare me, for today. Just as I feel like He's still preparing me today for what may come tomorrow. I don't know what that is, but I believe that there's a purpose there. And so I just continue to try to walk in that. And so in December in 2021, I graduated, and they offered a few different camps as like selections for the graduates to go to, because that's kind of the point of the program. If I didn't mention that earlier, they equip men in prison to then go out and be deployed into other facilities with the purpose of helping guys doing time. If that is being a friend to them, being an encourager to them, sharing the gospel with them, seeking to just help them to see ways in which they can change their life, change their thinking, change their mentalities. And so the camp that I ended up being sent to was Foothills, Correctional in Morganton, North Carolina. At the time, it was a youth spread, which that drew my interest because I thought that perhaps it would be a little easier working with younger guys. They would be a little bit more to advise. Little did I know that shortly after arriving here, this camp would begin the transition of taking on more regular age guys. So it's not predominantly a youth institution anymore, but now it's pretty much just a regular closed custody prison.